What does it mean to love when love was the very thing that hurt you the most? The story of Sanji is not just about chivalry, loyalty, or strength. It's a deep psychological exploration of how trauma shapes identity, how love can become both a strength and a wound, and how the need to be valued can quietly control the way we live. Sanji's life begins in a place where love is conditional, cold, and almost non-existent. Born into the Vinsmoke family, he was surrounded by power, status, and expectation, but none of it came with emotional connection. Instead, he was rejected for being different, for having empathy, for not fitting into a system that valued strength without compassion. His father saw emotion as weakness, and his brothers embodied that belief through cruelty. And when a child grows up in an environment where they are constantly told, directly or indirectly, that who they are is not enough, it creates a deep internal conflict. Sanji wasn't just trying to survive, he was trying to understand why he wasn't accepted. And when that question goes unanswered, it often turns inward, becoming self-doubt. This is where the psychology of identity begins to form. Because when your environment rejects you, you are forced to define yourself either in alignment with it or in opposition to it. Sanji chose opposition. He rejected the idea that strength meant emotionlessness. He held on to his empathy, his kindness, and his sense of morality, even when it made him a target. But here's the deeper layer. While he rejected their values, he still carried the emotional impact of their rejection. And this is something many people experience. You can walk away from a toxic environment physically, but psychologically, parts of it stay with you. They influence how you see yourself, how you relate to others, and what you believe you need to do to be accepted. When Sanji is taken in by Zeph, everything begins to shift. For the first time, he experiences something close to unconditional care. Zeph doesn't just feed him, he sacrifices for him. And that moment, where Sanji realizes that someone is willing to give up everything for his survival, becomes a defining psychological anchor. It teaches him that love exists, but it also creates a powerful sense of debt. And this is important, because from that point on, Sanji's identity becomes tied to the idea of giving back, of serving others, of never letting anyone go through what he went through. On the surface, this looks like pure kindness, and it is, but beneath it is a deeper psychological pattern. When someone receives life-changing support during a moment of vulnerability, they often feel an overwhelming need to repay it, to prove they are worthy of it. And that can lead to a mindset where your value becomes tied to how much you can give. Sanji becomes the protector, the provider, the one who ensures others are taken care of. His love is expressed through action, through cooking, through fighting, through sacrificing himself for others. But this is where the complexity of his character emerges. Because while love is his greatest strength, it's also where his vulnerability lies. His refusal to hit women, for example, is not just a moral code, it's a reflection of his identity. It's who he believes he must be. And while values are important, when they become rigid, they can limit your ability to adapt. Sanji's identity is so strongly tied to being a certain kind of person that he sometimes puts himself in danger rather than challenge that identity. This is a powerful lesson in personal development. When your identity becomes fixed, when you feel like you must always act a certain way to remain true to yourself, you can become trapped by your own values. The Whole Cake Island arc brings all of this to the surface. When Sanji is forced to return to his family, the past he tried to leave behind comes rushing back. And this is where we see the psychological weight he's been carrying all along. Despite everything he's achieved, despite the strength and independence he's built, he still feels like that rejected child. He still believes that he is not enough on his own, that his value comes from what he can provide, from how useful he is to others. So when he's faced with the choice between staying with the Straw Hats or protecting them by sacrificing himself, he chooses sacrifice. Not because it's the best option, but because it aligns with his internal belief: I must give everything, even myself, to protect the people I care about. This is one of the most important psychological patterns to understand. When your self-worth is tied to being needed, you may start to believe that your only value is in what you do for others. You may struggle to accept help, to express your own needs, to believe that you deserve support without having to earn it. And that's exactly what we see in Sanji. He pushes people away, not because he doesn't care, but because he cares so much that he believes removing himself is the best way to protect them. This is not weakness, it's a distorted form of love, shaped by trauma. What changes everything is not just the external situation, but the way Monkey D. Luffy responds to it. Luffy doesn't accept Sanji's decision. He doesn't agree with the idea that Sanji has to sacrifice himself to prove his worth. Instead, he does something simple but powerful. He waits. He refuses to move forward without him, and in doing so, he sends a message that challenges Sanji's entire belief system. You are valuable, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. This moment is crucial because it forces Sanji to confront something he's avoided his entire life: the idea that he can be loved without conditions. From a personal development perspective, this is where real growth begins, not in becoming stronger, faster, or more capable, but in redefining your relationship with yourself. Sanji's journey is about moving from conditional self-worth to unconditional self-acceptance. It's about realizing that you don't have to prove your value through sacrifice, that you don't have to earn love by giving everything away, that you can receive as much as you give. And that's not easy, because it requires vulnerability. It requires letting go of the identity you've built around being the strong one, the provider, the protector, and allowing yourself to be supported. Sanji's story teaches us that trauma doesn't just affect how we feel. It influences the roles we take on, the boundaries we set, and the way we interpret love. But it also shows us that those patterns can change, that identity is not fixed, that you can keep your values, your kindness, your loyalty, your compassion, without letting them control you. The goal is not to stop loving or giving, but to find balance. To understand that your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice, but by your existence. In the end, Sanji represents a powerful truth. You can come from a place where love was broken and still become someone who loves deeply, but the real growth comes when you learn to include yourself in that love. When you stop seeing yourself as the one who only gives, and start seeing yourself as someone who deserves to receive. Because love, when it's healthy, is not one-sided. It's not sacrifice without return. It's connection, mutual support, and acceptance. And once you understand that, you don't just become a better version of yourself, you become free.